Junkertown, where I was quickly reminded just how oppressive Widowmaker is, even more oppressive in 6v6.
Absolute f***ing horseshit box. What the f*** are you talking about, Freedo? Is the Widowmaker in the room with you right now? What are you talking about? Oh, nobody agrees with you. This is not true. I am hopelessly positive about the October 2020 patch. I think that was absolutely incredible. Still the healthiest I think Overwatch has been. Let's see what Freedo thinks then.
I really like going back to play the Overwatch classic game modes to get a taste of how the game was then. As an Overwatch boomer myself, next year will mark the 10th year of Overwatch. Am I really that old? This game's been out a while now, and the thing that
I feel like I've been saying 8 years for the past 2 years, right?
Becomes most clear to me is how a community shapes the build of the game. Based on the strategies we understand, our level of teamwork, and our hero expression, the players shape the game maybe even 50% next to the game balance itself. The reason I mention that is
players kind of, of course, people can get weird ideas about what is good, but things that are good get found out by higher ranks and filtered down to the low rank. That's always going to happen. Like, you can't say, well, if players just didn't play the Doomfist, like if the Doomfist is new and the Doomfist is good, that like the player base isn't individual people acting together like separately. The player base is a swarm, and the swarm just does whatever the swarm does, and it's predictable where the swarm goes because that's where the food is. Like, it's not that deep a revelation, I guess, and even
because unlike the other Overwatch classic patches like Goats or Valk, which were gimmicky, deliberately unbalanced versions of the game in a way,
they weren't deliberately unbalanced versions of the game. Don't give them that much credit. Remaking them was deliberately unbalanced of the game, sure, but that was just what they did.
Metas from yesteryear, October was the opposite. It was looked at as the pinnacle of Overwatch 6v6 role queue balance, and
I think he's giving a fair shake of it. It was looked at the pinnacle. I think that's true. I don't think it was perfect. I think there's things to improve from Overwatch 2, but yeah, like it was the pinnacle.
I've got some opinions about it.
I'm sure you do, Freedo. I'm sure you do.
It's great. It's not very good. With the new player base we have,
not very good.
Compared to what we were going through at the time, it was the greatest thing we've ever seen. Videos were going viral from Seagull. The entire community was applauding Blizzard for tuning back the power creep. Let's remember, in 2019,
they were, and I think that was true, yeah.
I remember going to BlizzCon, where they were force-feeding the Overwatch 2 experience to us, trying to market it. Meanwhile, I, as a lone autist in the press media briefing room, was the only one asking hard questions about power creep in the game. Because by that point, they had added so many DLC heroes, like my good friend Nathan likes to call, the simplistic pick up and play nature of the game had leapfrogged itself, with either
leapfrogged? Yeah, no, I agree in general with him. Like, power creep's bad, and like perks and stuff like that, it's not really pick up and play anymore. It's read the fucking lexicon in order to understand what the game does. It's not as simple as it used to be. I think I agree with him entirely. And to be clear, like, this is one of the things that Freedo actually did really well. He's one of the only people actually critiquing the game or trying to improve the game back in a time when most of it was very obvious takes, and doing it to Blizzard's face is something to be commended, honestly.
Big bursts, insta-kill combos, crowd control, stacking. 6 players can have crowd control in Overwatch 1, or big percentage-based damage spikes like Gravitic Flux or Echo's Beam. These things made you either melt really fast, get knocked around freely. There was a lot of chaos in the game. And October, oddly enough, was when they balanced these things back. But going back to that now, even in what we thought was the best version, man, does it look bad. Mainly because when you add in the new player base and you get a Doomfist in every game, or you get blown out because you're...
Yeah, I mean, this is the version of Doomfist that you can't have at any other time, so people are playing Doomfist. I mean, I do think the inclusion of Doomfist everywhere is completely ruining the game. Like, in terms of the October patch, of course. But I don't think it's like, if we left this for 2 months, people would just stop playing it as much, right? Like, and it needed changes, sure. And I think the Doomfist, I've come to the conclusion that Doomfist needed completely removing to begin with. Like, I think the DPS Doomfist, especially with the instant stuns, and especially with the control they can have in tanks, was degenerate and probably shouldn't have existed. And the instant kills were sad. I don't think the tank Doomfist is any better, to be honest, but you know.
Or team comp doesn't interact with the enemies, you quickly start to remember why they needed to change things into Overwatch 2. Now keep in mind,
Why they needed to change things? Sorry, let's...
Or you get blown out because your team comp doesn't interact with the enemies. You quickly start to remember...
Blown out because your team comp doesn't interact with the enemies? I don't think I really saw any of that. I saw quick play balance. That's what I saw. Like, I feel like all of the team comps interact with other team comps in this. Apart from Roadhog being the outlier of a hero that honestly still needs a rework. And even if you do what Blizzard did in Overwatch 2, I think the Roadhog still degenerate bullshit and needs to be changed in the game. And obviously we have changed him. We have given him a breather to give to other people. And that actually just fixes a hero. It's a hard one. Like, sure, they need to change some shit. But like, how far are you going there, Freedo? I guess is the question.
Why they needed to change things into Overwatch 2. Now keep in mind, I think Overwatch 2 6v6 open queue is very, very good. Mainly because it has a lot of the list of improvements to the entire cast of heroes, the new balance philosophy. I've come to realize that in the 6v6
just having the new heroes is good enough
format, I will not like it unless you can swap roles. Because a lot of the benefits of 6v6, such as the bigger team fights, the push-pull of the ultimate game is much more interesting because there's an extra ult in play and an extra target for your ults. There's a lot of ways for one explosion to trigger a zone into another. The problem is with...
Well, no, he just did a yap, okay? Hear this sleight of hand here. He starts talking about, roll lock, and then he just starts talking about something completely different.
Not like it unless you can swap roles.
Okay, sure.
Because a lot of the
roles.
benefits of 6v6, such as the bigger team fights.
Because, do you hear that? Because that changed the sentences together.
The push-pull of the ultimate game is much more interesting because there's an extra ult in play and an extra target for your ults. There's a lot of ways for one explosion to trigger a zone into another. The problem is with so many souped up characters in the game, the impact of so many of these kits is so oppressive. Being locked as a tank with a tank teammate that wants to just simply make one basic...
So there's big things in the game and therefore we need to be able to flex more, I guess is the argument.
Mistake. A basic mistake that isn't as punished in 5v5, though it is, but just a little bit more free to make this mistake, turning the corner slightly too early. With lower tank stats, you certainly have far more skill expression, but you also have the ability to have far less impact.
Yeah, unless you have all the resources from your team, but you can actually have more impact when you do have all the resources from your team. Like this is the entire argument, right?
Especially as one of the two tanks that are both locked into place. Because in 6v6 role queue, you still want to make a Giga tank, and if you don't have one, you're at a massive disadvantage. And just forget the idea of tank synergy for a second.
You don't want to make a Giga tank, you want your tank to be Giga for 2 to 3 seconds when it matters and disrupt the enemy team. It's completely different than making a Giga tank, right? You give the resources, they can do stuff for like a couple of seconds. That's the peak that you actually use in order to do. That's the hammer. And yeah, sure, like you're going against double shield, it can be impressive when you don't have a hammer to hit him with. Agreed. Like if somebody picks around and picks the wrong things, 100% it could be oppressive. But like saying that's the average experience from really like if we just exclude Roadhog, right, they just fix that one character, everything else more or less works, not interacting with the enemy team very often. Really, is that true?
Second, you need two tanks that are able to interact with what the enemy does. That's even more important in
what does that mean, interact with what the enemy does? I question what the fuck you're talking about, because interacting with what the enemy does is pretty much something that all characters do, right? Are you specifically trying to talk about just double shield, but talking about it in a really weird way to kind of like slide in there? Because double shield is one of those things that has been removed, so what are we talking about? Like, it's not oppressive in this mode. We already covered that. That's kind of the whole point, right? So what are you talking about, interact with the enemy team?
October of 2020, because so many of the damage picks are so much more viable than before. And if one of your tanks is out of sync with the other, out of sync with the heals, and easily dies instantly, well then your ability to have any impact as the other tank is hilariously small. Would the best play...
Yeah, but you're playing the other tank. How can the other tank be out of sync with you? Just sync up with them, right? Like, I get it, out of sync with the heals. If somebody goes in and feeds, then you have no impact. It's basically what you just said, but like that's true of everything. It's more true of 5v5 in terms of anyone feeding.
Players in the world overcome these issues that I have, yes, but in open queue, I can just switch to Pharah and counter the enemy Symmetra, who sort of just stands in the front line and easily zaps down a tank without much effort. Why does that exist in the game? A benefit, though, looking back, is acknowledging how a role having answers to every type of situation you can get to is such a benefit. Since Symmetra is a character that's going to zone you, punish flanking a bit with turrets, and loves to cook down a front line, my favorite answer in Overwatch 2 is to play a character like Queen, who has such high burst damage and crowd control, the Symmetra can't gear up to tier 3, and even if she does, you have a DPS
yeah, having more heroes is good. I think we all agree with that, right?
dump that's a faster time to kill.
Me and Megamon ran double shield a few days ago, and then we won, so therefore double shield's in fact giga oppressive. Still, I'm sorry to say, yeah, okay, yeah, RPG team comp builder, etc, right?
Hers. The only answer to that playstyle in Overwatch 1 October is Roadhog, and often the Symmetra is going to be safe or have protection tanks to counter Roadhog, who's a little situational in any iteration.
So you don't actually need open queue because there is enough variance in the tank category now. Is that your argument? Because you started talking about open queue, then you just started talking about being able to flex the counter things, about the ways that you would flex the counter things within your category if you have more tank heroes. So like,
of Overwatch 1 Roadhog. Marvel Rivals has these issues too, where there's a lot of easy characters that are just corny.
Having more healthy heroes is good, having more Freya as the Sojourn, not so much. No, agreed entirely with that, but what we're talking about the variance between heroes within the role, right? The reason why Freya and Sojourn are so boring is there is no variance between the heroes in the role given by them. They're just more of the same for the most part. And that's kind of like my biggest critique of quite a lot of the Overwatch 2 tanks in general, and quite a lot of the Overwatch 2 DPS in general. They aren't specialized in any way, so they don't add anything meaningful.
But because you can freely swap and there's lots of characters, that is more important than the balance. You see, Symmetra had so many eras where she was just useless or overly gimmicky that they gave her that tier up charge mechanic, which is why I hate balance in a way, because she has to get those stats so that her win rate doesn't look too bad. So when she does win...
No, it wasn't to do with win rate. They were struggling really, really, really badly on making her actually do anything healthy. And they still are struggling really, really, really badly with making her do anything healthy. Like, it's a real struggle to make this character work properly. I think it's... the tearing up of the weapons is more akin to a tank, kind of like a role. I think the turrets are more akin to kind of like a support kind of a role, where you hold angle, or a tank kind of a role. And yet she's in the DPS category. It's a really tough thing to get around. She's just kind of a conglomeration of loads of different things. And saying that, well, the problem with Symmetra is just that they had to make her good and make her strong in order to have good percentage, it's not necessarily true. I think they were struggling regardless of her win rate.
And she has to auto win without any effort at all. It's even less effort than a Wolverine in Marvel Rivals, who at least has to make a dive pincer on you. At least you have to specialize in his movement, and you're always free to counter pick and play less tanks against an anti-tank character. Let's just be real for a second. The devs never really acknowledged anti-tank mechanics in the game. So I acknowledge to some degree if they just add the Overwatch 2 heroes in...
Yeah, they never acknowledged anti-tank mechanics in the game, but that's because nobody really talked about them that often. Like, they haven't acknowledged anything in their balancing from back then. So like, what are we talking about? They acknowledged anti-tank in loads of different situations now. You can't just teleport us back in time and say the game was bad with 5 years less development. I mean, yeah, sure, but can we talk about the things that make this good or bad in and of itself as a product, right?
To the mix, 6v6 role queue would be improved, but I still think the general design and balance philosophy of Overwatch 1 here, even in the corrected power creep era, is just really, really bad in comparison to Overwatch 2's balance.
How is Symmetra any better in Overwatch 2 than in this mode? Please explain to me how Symmetra is any different in any meaningful way compared to this mode. It's exactly the same. So what are you talking about, right? Like, yeah, you got perks so you can pick around it, and you can pick less tanks is your answer. And the answer to that is... she's still unhealthy, right? Like, if you can hate specifically on tank, it's still unhealthy, and she still can't do that. So, like, what?
The thing I praise Marvel Rivals for is there's so many characters that can just go on any part of the map that is good for them easily and then be effective. Well,
no, there isn't. That's absolute horseshit. Go on any part of the map that's good for them. You stand on main and you shoot the enemy team from main, and you do a slight off angle every now and again with your full health bar, then you go back to main. That's the Marvel Rivals gameplay loop. There is no other loop. It is disincentivized in every single way to go off on an angle.
Overwatch has some flyers, not as many as they have in Rivals, and while it does have flankers, dive heroes are harder in Overwatch and tend to need tank help to be effective, whereas they're way easier in Rivals, perhaps even too easy, right? Like, we talk about the player base evolving the game over time. Well, months later, when the casuals learned Spider-Man, the casual supports stopped having a good time pretty quickly. Well, that complaint was about...
What's he on about?
The tank experience for many years in Overwatch 1 due to the stuns, focus fire, anti-tank kit, and just take your pick on what you don't like. And then furthermore, to this player base evolving point, here's a game on Nepal I had where I think
I'm actually enjoying tanking more in this mode than on live. I understand what you're saying about the anti-tank kits. I think that's a valid point to be making. I forgot what point he started on. He went from flyers to flankers to tanks. You've really got to pay attention to when he says because in his argument, because that's a linking thing from one thought to the other. And every time he says because, he's already abandoned that train of thought, or that train of thought's got so far away that you have to explain the new thing. And he gets nested in his because argument, so he's like 3 layers of because deep, and he's not talking about the same thing anymore, right? I need to go back to work out what the fuck he's talking about.
Those are harder in Overwatch and tend to need tank help to be effective, whereas they're way easier in Rivals, perhaps even too easy, right? Like we talk about.
I don't think flankers are hard in Overwatch compared to Rivals. Does any, like, is that a thing? Like, right? Is that a thing?
The player base evolving the game over time. Well, months later, when the casuals learned Spider-Man, the casual supports stopped having a good time pretty quickly. Well, that complaint was about the tank experience for many years in Overwatch 1 due to the stun.
What the fuck are you talking about? How do we get to tank?
Learned Spider-Man, the casual supports stopped having a good time pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well,
he's comparing flankers oppressing supports to tank hate mechanics oppressing tanks? Question mark? Is that the comparison he's making?
Complaint was about the tank experience for many years in Overwatch 1 due to the stuns, focus fire, anti-tank kit, and just take your pick on what you don't like. And then further,
I mean, sure, yeah, there's quite a lot of tank hate in the game. Specifically things like Brig before, but we kind of removed most of that. I definitely think Orisa pull was problematic, and I think that needed to be changed in some way, shape, or form. I think Roadhog was problematic, and that needed to be changed in some way, shape, or form. Apart from that, I'm like thinking about the tank hate. Are you specifically thinking about Flashbang and Hack? Because that's the only other 2 things that I can think of that are tank hate in this October patch that aren't live now. And even then, I'd rather play it with the Flashbang than not. I don't know if anyone else agrees or disagrees with that. I think the flashbang is actually a good mechanic to keep unchecked tanks at bay. And to stop tanks going infinite into the enemy team and require some resources. I don't like it. You don't like flashbang? I like flashbang. I think it could be toned down to our version where it's half stun, half what is it, hinder. I think it'd be toned down to that version. But yeah, the thing is, if you don't have the flashbang, it creates less incentives to put more resources into the tank at the front line, and therefore you end up with a more like homogenized, less like extreme game, right? I think Flash is a good version of utility for DPS cast. I have no problem with Flash. I think there's very little things that I would change in terms of the amount of CC into tanks in this mode. That's my answer. Bull runs rampant without Flash. There's the other one. He just rolls around completely uninteractive. Flash is the only, like, just a thing for interaction. Sombra Hack should not be 6 seconds too. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think Sombra Hack would be good as 6 seconds of ultimate lockout, but maybe like 1 or 2 seconds of regular lockout. I think that's probably true. I'd like Sombra to still have some strategy on who she's hacking based on the ultimate rotations. I think that was the interesting part of her, but yeah.
Furthermore, to this player base evolving point, here's a game on Nepal I had where I think we played every single archetype of comp you can imagine. I wanted to test out Old Hog. They have double shield, which people often forget wasn't just Orisa Sigma, but even in October.
Yes, it was. Nobody called the other things double shield. Like that's not double shield. Like just having 2 shields is not double shield. Double shield was very specifically referring to the poke variant. We're talking about Reinhardt, Winston, and shit like that. Sure, like you can talk about it, but don't call it double shield. Just say that they had these characters with a lot of shields.
After they nerfed Orisa to be mostly situational, then a new archetype emerged where Rein Sigma.
I love calling the Bastion cart strat double shield. There's a reason Zarya Winston got called double bubble, not double shield. Exactly.
Was actually very good. So these players on the enemy team, especially as how they swapped, are probably like competitive Overwatch fans, which is a higher percentage of the player base now than was way back when Overwatch had more of a casual player base. A bigger percentage of all of our players in our game have watched competitive content, watched guide content, learned what the synergies and counters are, and we've all leveled up together. But that means our ability to know how to tech swap or team comp swap and play the MOBA team comp builder game.
Get the bingo out, guys. Get the bingo out. He can't help himself.
Is quite advanced. They go double shield, so I go a hyper dive character, Wrecking Ball, who gets behind them. They go stuns and
hyper dive. It's a new super type of dive. Hyper dive.
poke. I go Sigma, who is anti-poke.
And
I
your
really
point
need
is?
those of you who are boundly determined to believe that 5v5 and 6v6 is radically different when it comes to the tank interactions.
They are. Yeah, of course they are.
Explain to me how this enemy Roadhog didn't have a bad time against my picks, or just in general. When you look at the arc of all of the rounds that are played, it's a very competitive quote-unquote game. My ball counters their Rhine Sig. They try to Roadhog.
Ball counts the Rhine Sig.
And in fact, I conclude that I'll
They Roadhog.
just do more against the extreme high offense of the enemy team by having defense matrix and be more mobile, even though you might assume that there's
My man literally picks D.Va Zarya, the world-renowned worst comp in the mode. It's like, aha, I'm counter-swapping the enemy Roadhog.
some anti-synergy with my teammate going Zarya. D.Va is just a 6v6 world eater tank, which also kind of tosses the balance argument out of the equation for 6v6, but
Yeah, there's one problem, therefore balancing 6v6 is unachievable. Haha, got you. Haha, you see, I got my point. Yeah, screw you.
and all of these same counterpick tanks shenanigans happens in 5v5 Giga tanks, I'm aware, but isn't it mostly the same in 6?
No, it's not mostly the same. You're talking about specifically counter-swapping. Counter-swapping in 5v5 has had literally 4 years of development put into it to try and stop it. Maybe really 2 years of development, but realistically, I think that the Season 9, I think the perks, I think the tanks getting bigger, I think all of these things, I think all of them came into the game specifically because there was so little depth in the tank category that they needed to stop the counter swapping. In this mode, I don't think counter swapping really matters that much at all. I think you through by going D.Va. I don't think it really does anything to the Roadhog. So what are we talking about here? Yeah, sure, counter swapping still exists, but if the question is, do you want to be able to counter swap at least half of your tank line? Or do you want to be in a situation when you're on support and your tank is being counter picked into the enemy team in 5v5 and they don't swap and you just lose because they're stupid, right? Like, what are we doing? The soft counters are, yeah, soft counters are good in the game. Like, we want soft counters to be in the game. Counter swapping's only bad when it's so extreme that it shuts down options, right? We want as many options as possible, as many valid options. And sure, like, some things are going to be more or less valid than each other, but we want everything to be within a ballpark of playability. That's kind of the idea. In 5v5, to get things within the ballpark of playability, what we had to do was completely change the fucking game because the format was vapid. In 6v6, you don't necessarily have to do that because a lot of other things. Yeah, sure, you can get into a situation, which is a bad situation. I do think it should be fixed in this mode, where your allied tank picks Roadhog and you're fucked. That can happen. It can happen. There's a lot less valid possibilities when certain characters are picked. I think maybe with our 4 of 2 years of development, we could have done something about that, such as Blizzard never attempted at any point in the history of the video game. So, like, yeah, it's a hard one. Hard counters should only exist when the entire team swaps for that counterplay. Yeah, ultimately, if you are hard countered by the entire enemy team, never heard your take on Season 9 changes because everyone else praises that, and I think it aged magnificently, and I feel like I'm in a simulation. It's a hard one, Season 9. Like, it's a hard one because people really don't get the explanation. Like, I went on with Spylo and talked about it, and people didn't he didn't get the explanation, which is a crying shame. The trouble with the Season 9 changes is essentially the time it takes to heal someone back to full has been purposely increased, and that affects different healers at different intensity of healing differently. So, for instance, Mercy being able to hold somebody at an angle by holding left click has been completely removed from the game because of the DPS passes and the higher health pools. Whereas the alternative that we do instead of that, and I agree that that is in some way oppressive, holding somebody in an angle infinitely, is what we do is we damage boost that person in an angle until they lose health, then we abandon them. I think the games are in a much better state when it's more actively moving back and forth in the health pools, right? I do agree that what that causes is it causes the game to be a bit more sharp for low rank players. I think that's something people need to talk about. But realistically, everything becomes more bursty. It doesn't change the game in a way that I think is interesting. It just means that every single person, when they step out on an angle at full health, can always do something, which I don't think needs to be true. I don't think that needs to be true. Basically, Overwatch is a game about using support resources in different ways, and Season 9 made that more boring. That's basically the take.
And actually worse in role queue, in my opinion, because you have to is the balance argument out of the equation for 6v6, but And all of these same counterpick tanks shenanigans happens in 5v5 Gigatanks, I'm aware, but isn't it mostly the same in 6v6? And actually worse in role queue, in my opinion, because you have to take it. You have to opt into some tanks. There is no opting out of the 2-2-2 mirror match.
No, I don't think it's worse in any meaningful way. I understand what you're saying about being able to swap off of 2-2-2. Realistically, swapping off of 2-2-2 is such a minor situation that it almost never is better. So it doesn't really matter, is the answer. Sure, I understand the argument that you feel like you can have more control of the game by swapping off 2-2-2. But realistically, I don't think there's that much of a gain in that way. Not worse, but different. But even then, the tanks don't counter tanks. Yeah, that's one of the main things that people forget. The major part of the countering in 5v5 was an entire team countering a tank because the tanks were bigger. That gets removed in this one. Sure, there's soft counters in all forms, and the soft counter can stack up into one of your tanks. But then you have the opportunity of either swapping your tank or the other person helping you. Yeah, we had to remove unhelpful tank combos. I agree.
I never wanted role queue originally. Settled for it. But what I wanted was open queue draft, and still do. Even if you swap mid-round, I would like draft. Because you could draft, let's say, I don't know, 10 to 12 heroes for your roster for the given round, but still only swap between them, effectively banning out a good portion of the roster. That's my dream format, or some variation of that. We've already seen...
Yeah, would Freedo say that he wants more MOBA Team Comp Builder in the game because he can't MOBA Team Comp Builder the way he wants to? Or should Freedo just play the fucking video game in the format he's given? Yeah, like, it's always the open queue argument. Oh, but if we do open queue, then we can't pick 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 2 supports, or 3 tanks, 3 supports. And the answer is, every time, do you want to? Like, is that actually fun for you? Like, are you okay? 2-2-2 is, I'm gonna say, very much the best way to play these games, and I feel like there's very small amounts of variation that are actually enjoyable.
Big boon that Hero Bands does, and this is just a little bit more extra steps. Hero Bands plus a picking draft. Slightly longer in that time, but I swear it'll make the best Overwatch ever. This counterpicking point, I don't know why it's controversial. Why have I taken years to convince anybody about this? Counterpicking in...
Because it's wrong, and you just keep saying it.
6v6, especially role queue, is easier to do and more effective.
That's just not true. That's absolute horseshit, and you should feel bad about yourself. Absolute horseshit. Sure, I mean, like, the 5v5 has had the entire game morphed around it to make counter-swapping not a thing, and in order to do that, what they've had to do is they've had to increase the tank health pool to such a and the lethality to such a ludicrous degree that they just interact with each other less, basically. But that's what they've done. They've made it so that they're less interactive. That's basically it. They've made them big fucking meat sticks, and they have to make them big fucking meat sticks to stop the counter-swapping. So yeah, counter-swapping is worse in the 6v6 game mode compared to a game mode that had been purposely constructed around stopping it. Sure, if you want it, if you want that as your claim, go for it. It's okay. If you... I don't know, man. It's such a weird claim that counter-swapping's worse than 6v6. I think there's a problem in both modes. There can be a problem in both modes. I think soft countering should be a thing. I think hard countering and the reduction of options shouldn't be a thing. Is that fair to say? I fully do appreciate that 6v6 gives some limitations. I think they should be removed in any way that they can, in terms of tank combinations.
Because in 5v5, you can always opt out of the tank trade. When there's 6 players, the team fights are so contested into chokes.
In 5v5, you can always opt out of the tank trade. Do you know what that actually means? That means that the game has been constructed so that you don't have to do the tank trade, right? Sure, like... That's cool, but like doing the tank trade in general is just bad now, unless you clearly win it. And then you can opt out of doing the tank trade. Of course you can opt out of doing the tank trade in 6v6. Of course you can. You can off angle, you can do interesting stuff. You can go and do a duo play with a DPS. That's opting out the tank trade. What are we talking about, right?
That you have to clear the tanks, otherwise the tanks will gum you up, often protecting the things you think you could counter. I had a game on junk.
I don't think you have to deal with the tanks in 6v6. Yeah, I don't think you have to. 5v5 you mean? Maybe you meant to say that? Maybe I misspoke.
Junkertown, where I was quickly reminded just how oppressive Widowmaker is, even more oppressive in 6v6.
Absolute fucking horseshit. Bollocks. What the fuck are you talking about, Freedo? Is the Widowmaker in the room with you right now? What are you talking about? Oh, nobody agrees with you. This is not true. What, like, in 5v5, do you know what happens? A bull goes, swaps, and goes and deals with the Widow. The bull slams the Widow. The bull kills the Widow. The bull sits on her every single fucking time she respawns. The Widow has 30 deaths. The bull has no deaths. And the bull's team loses because dealing with it as a tank is such a large proportion of the actual value your team can have. It doesn't even matter if you dealt with it. At least in 66, it's a proportional amount of value by pushing them out. Jesus Christ, that's just not true. What the hell are you talking about?
Because of this exact premise. So whether it's the Symmetra who's hiding behind her tank line, who's outplaying my tank line, or Widowmaker hiding behind her tank line, the extra...
A Widowmaker hiding behind a tank line? What the fuck are you talking about? Didn't Spiley test this in a video? Forgot what he said. If trying to get at a Widow with 2 tanks protecting her is more annoying? Yeah, but if the Widow's also got a Sigma shield on her, for instance, and a Sigma being close to her, that angle is by default a bigger proportion of the amount of stuff, and it's more telegraphed, and you can play around it. Yeah, sure, if you double shield into a Widow, the Widow can't move, but by that default, the Widow is on main. Widow is most powerful when the Widow is away from your team because that pressure is so sharp that she demands a lot of threat. When the Widow is with part of the team, right, like maybe we say Sigma Widow on an off angle and then the rest of the team on main, the demand to deal with that Widow immediately is lessened because you can play into the other part. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Like, sure, like tanks can protect a Widow. I have never seen a tank protect a Widow in a good place in 66. I don't, like, until you get to Masters at the very least, I've never seen it happen. In all ranks, 6v6 makes it easier to deal with the Widow, apart from maybe high GM. If we're talking about maybe high GM, they're getting a shield and a support at the same time. Like, what are we talking about? Freedo's so brave-rotted, he thinks a Sigma or Rhine are just going to sit there and protect her, like protection of the primary part of a tank's job.
Players, and the more solidified the formation becomes, the stronger and more protected those key star picks that counter the entire map. And
how right now, if you were playing Widow, would you go and walk down here and stand here? And do you think that would be good? That's my question to you. Right now, if I was playing Widow, should I be protected? Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, sure. Sigma's here, Widow's here. That's suppressed. That can be oppressive. 100% agree. Currently not happening. Doesn't really happen in general. And even in that scenario, I'd say throwing a Winston at that combo actually does a reasonable amount to stop it. And if there's 2 people here and you have to throw a bubble in with the Winston in order to stop them being able to do that, then sure, that's a really good resource trade and we're happy with that. And your answer probably going to be, oh, but my team's playing Roadhog. Okay, well, they're probably over here if they're a good player, putting pressure on that way. And maybe you're over here as a Sigma putting on pressure that way. And the Widow can't do shit. She just doesn't do shit from her angle if you put a little bit of pressure on her. You just eat through the shield. It is so much easier to deal with in 6v6. This is absolute insanity.
or team become. This is less of an issue in Rivals because the impact of everything is so much lower. A handful of burst options exist, yes, but most of the game is very brawly. High stats, high healing, high sustain, but long cooldowns.
Yeah, most of the game is just staring at each other on main waiting for ults to happen.
It makes the impact very low most of the time, except in these extreme niche situations, like Black Panther gets burst when he's low. Penny does no damage until you jump into her traps and then insta-kills you. Late stage Overwatch 1, everything felt like it insta-killed you. Because remember, they power crept the game to deal with goats, then didn't revert it when they put it to roll queue. Just left it that way. October tuned it back.
No, I agree.
Back to make more things viable. That is true. Like, imagine this. Here.
Okay, so...
You know, I'm complaining about this Nepal game, right? As being a counter pickathon, we would have loved that in October. We would have said, oh my God, so many viable alternative strategies. We didn't have to just meta lock one.
It wasn't a counter pickathon. It's only a counter pickathon because you're doing it. I'd say that the point and the thing that's good about this October patch was that you didn't have to counter pick and everything was viable. He's like, well, everything's more or less at the same level, so I get to counter pick them more. And I'm like, that's the opposite of the truth, right? Like, if everything's really highly varied, then you have to counterpick them more. Like, they fixed it. And he's like, well, in this mode, it's still Overwatch 1, so something, we don't have as many years of development. There's barely any counterpicking in this mode. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Combo. Yet when that same thing happens in 5v5, we say that it's broken game design, 5v5's terrible. Well, the same thing happened in the 66 patch we said we liked. Well, we only had this patch.
We're doing 6v6 still OP.
That's for a month, and then in 10 minutes
Yeah, because the Widow's just standing on an angle on her own.
playing it.
Widow's still OP? What are you
In Overwatch 2, people are breaking it already. That's how much better our community is.
Who's breaking it?
That's what I'm trying to say.
What are you on about?
When we hate the game that we have and think it was somehow better before, because when it comes to the classic Overwatch patches, I think this might be one of my least favorite, because it makes me remember how much I hated that year and a half of
It's you know when you have a certain amount of cognitive dissonance, it makes you have a headache? That's his problem, right?
power creep Overwatch. And this is the tuned down version, supposedly. The intensity of the stun stacking, the CC stacking, the big bursts of focus fire. I mean, ugh. Especially when you can now compare.
It's literally just flash and hack. That's literally flash and hack. Maybe May freeze, you can say May freeze, but like, how often are people picking May in this? Like Doomfist? Yeah, Doomfist is problematic, sure. So?
To Marvel Rivals, right? Like, I think Rivals plays more brawly with sustain. I can handle that. At least if you're going to say you have lots of
Rivals plays AFK until ults are on the field, yeah.
abilities in your gameplay, you're going to slowly craft a brawl over time, getting values out of your defense and focus fire, and it takes a while. Like, there's a few characters that can burst, but for the most part, it's not all about burst. Whereas this era of Overwatch 2, there was so many ways to quickly burst things down or quickly save.
Yeah, there was actually a neutral play that mattered. Like, Rivals neutral does not matter in any way, shape, or form. And you go back into a mode where, like, actually being able to kill people is available, and you're like, oh, there's so much burst. Like, what? Sure, there's burst. That's good. Is it not? Do we not like the game having ability to kill people? Like, what?
Save them. I seem to remember that it was the impression that Bunker was weak in this because they had just addressed it.
It is weak in this.
So characters like Batiste and Orisa weren't getting played by the
Yeah, because they were bad.
player base.
We played Orisa just a little bit ago. She was bad, right? Not great. Fine. Like, it's an okay character. She was really boring, to be honest. But, like, it's fine. But it's not good.
Back then. But now, this new player base playing the patch again.
Isn't Marvel Rivals just your Roadhog theorem, but on crack? Hit markers, even though nothing happens as a result until ult? Yeah, 100%, yeah. Everyone just stand back. The trouble is, it's not just the Roadhog theorem. The Roadhog theorem is just that everyone likes to shoot Roadhog because it feels good to do. The actual thing in Rivals is that there is no access into the enemy team's backline apart from on long flank routes that enable you to do something apart from shoot the enemy team tanks. So it ends up being ults. Long flank routes and melee DPS are valid. They 100% are valid, but they really do have to sustain in the backline for a very long time to get their value, because once people get to a certain level, they just press their not die button and they don't die.
And I've played against or played as Batiste quite a lot, and holy cow, is his kit over-kitted. Try to remember
But not in sustain. Remember, not in sustain.
Ruined this October patch that everyone liked by buffing Batiste and making
Yes, his sustain.
the 1080p
Sorry, his sustain
window. This was the last chance he had to be somewhat balanced, and I swear Lamp has more health and duration in this version of the game.
Yes, that's bad. We should roll that back even more. But we were moving in the right direction.
Feels like it anyway. It's so much more oppressive in this iteration than in Overwatch 2 5v5. And people will always look at every flaw they see in Overwatch 2 5v5 and blame 5 players on it. And so when we go back to the 6v6 patch, do we do the opposite back? Do we say, well, because it's 6v6 and nonsense, well, now Lamp's got to be...
Well, I'll have you know that some people on your side are being disingenuous, so I'm allowed to be as disingenuous as I want.
10 minutes long. Of course not. It's because in our community, for some reason, we commit an almost Overwatch 1 naturalistic fallacy, where if it happened in Overwatch 1 in 6v6, we just ignore it. It's
No, we look at this, we say, this is currently better than live Overwatch, despite all of the failings, because there is a lot to gain from the 6v6 mode when it's not hilariously unbalanced for that one patch. Which everyone seems to agree with. Anyone that's done 6v6 seems to like this mode. I like this mode. This mode is fun. It has problems. The problems are Doomfist. The problems are, yeah, sure, a little bit Symmetra. The problems are Roadhog. But, like, can we fix these problems? Probably with very little effort. Probably less effort than it took to stop 5v5 sucking ass.
It's normal. It's okay. Another thing I remember about 6v6, especially role queue, is just the impact of the flex.
Yeah, one of the troubles with 5v5 as well is the 6v6 problems aren't inherent to 6v6. The 5v5 problems are the things that they had to do because the counter-swapping problem could not be solved without doing them. It's a necessity of perks. It's the necessity of massive health pools. It's the necessity of tanks having high single target damage and the ability to insta-kill players for the most part. Who are DPS or supports. It's like the specific 5v5 problems are problems that can't be solved without these changes. The 6v6 problems, name me a 6v6 problem that can't be solved without the 6v6. I mean, Roadhog, right? Tank combinations. Okay, can we just do that? Like, can we just do that?
Support position. The actual balance of this is that a few characters have massive carry impact, particularly the flex support, which often was one of the bigger pro contributors as well. And then everybody else is kind of trying not to be on a pick that makes a mistake or feeding to trade, especially now that we have...
Is that true? The flex support is... Yeah, for sure, flex support is a playmaker in this, 100%. But flex support is still kind of the playmaker in 5v5, isn't it? What we're talking about. Flex support is disproportionately valued in 6v6? I don't think that's true.
Hero bans and ranked both in the 6v6 and in the 5v5 role queue situation. It makes it more egregious that they went down the route of dog chasing car, chasing hydrant, circular balance philosophy, as opposed to adding hero bans years before even this patch.
Where's my drum? I'm gonna start. Hero bans are good. Hero bans are good. I love hero bans. Hero bans are good.
Was ever tested. Our perception and reality on these things as players is really skewed, and I think it's important to remember this whenever giving any feedback to the devs about anything, because for the most part, I don't know if anyone actually enjoyed these nostalgia patches more than the main game.
I did. This one's good. Can I keep this one? Can we keep it in the game and start developing the game based off this? Maybe just add some of the good things from Overwatch 2 that they put in and keep it in 6v6 mode, add the rest of the heroes. Yeah? Greed did as well? Oh, Greed did as well. That's cool. It seems like people generally like it, Freedo. Is that okay?
People say that about Stadium, they say that about Open Queue 6v6 perhaps, but I don't think these nostalgia patches were that good. And a big part of that is all of...
Yeah, a big part of that is that they explicitly did the things that were broken, obviously, right? They're doing like moth meta and goats. Like, no shit. They did the things that are broken. Like, is the original Overwatch at launch better than live? I fucking hope not. If it is, we've really gone backwards, like... Jesus.
The other improvements that they put through to the sequel as well. And nobody ever uses the logic that it was because of 5v5 that we got self-heal, for example, a universally...
What's the logic there? For what possible reason would we only get self-heal in 5v5? Please explain. I'd love to know.
A praise mechanic in the game. It only goes one way. If they don't like something in Overwatch 2, it's because of...
No, we're not getting an explanation. 5v5 is just something that inherently allows us to be able to get a self-healing mechanic on players after a couple of seconds. Yeah. All right. Like, what? That doesn't mean anything. Like, come on. Like, we could have had the self-heal. Why could we not have the self-heal? Oh, we're not going to explain. We're just going to move on.
The 5v5. And you wouldn't have needed to do it in 6v6. Yet every 6v6 patch has been a balanced nightmare. Even the one we said was good. This sucks. It's really, really unfun. At least in...
I don't think I'm not enjoying it. Who said they weren't enjoying it in chat? Arathel. Arathel, tell me why you're not enjoying it. Is it the prevalence of Doomfist players? Because that's reducing the enjoyment for me. I feel like that would settle out after a couple of weeks, to be honest.
Comparison to the modern advancement and expectation of how a hero shooter should play. Marvel Rivals released in a very deliberate balance state, where you have freedom of movement, brawly stats, high healing numbers, but also with some free kills on certain characters. That makes a very approachable game, no matter what role you're trying.
Yeah, and by and whole, all of the people that I think are intelligent about these games moved on from Marvel Rivals, or are feeling a little bit sheepish now that they put put so much time into it and probably would rather swap onto a different game, I'm gonna be honest. Like, the people that have put thousands of hours into Rivals, I don't think many of them that I respect are still enjoying it to that degree. Or if they are saying that they're still enjoying it, I'm a little bit suspicious of how truthful they're being, right? Because people that think properly about these games see the dominance of ultimates. They see the fact that supports, and by the way, another support is now a stand on main and fucking spam healing down the choke support. Like, they see all of this kind of stuff and they understand that, oh, well, I could, yeah, if I play a different game, maybe I could do something different. And that's nice. A lot of my heroes except Mercy feel clunkier than Alive, even if sim damage is crazy high. What are your heroes apart from Sim, Moira? Question mark. I still sustain that old movement of Mercy's was better. Of course it is, yeah. I stopped enjoying Rivals because I know we're a support alt deficit and understand there's no way I can really try to make a play to overcome that. You could into the enemy team backline and gamble, I guess, and maybe get a pick, and then that pick comes back before the enemy support ults end. Sim, Echo, Mercy, sometimes May. Oh, yeah, I forgot you were degenerate. Yep. Echo, is Echo that much different? I don't know. Like, I feel like Echo's development would have headed in the same direction, right? May, I get May without freezes. Wait, May hasn't been changed in any meaningful way in terms of movement. Echo felt the same? I'm not sure. Anyway.
To play. Compare that to October, the best version of 6v6, mind you. Tanks are getting instantly deleted just due to how many tank dumping kits exist in the game, which I think is important to note that it's not a 5v5 or 6v6 thing.
Okay, so what's your solution? Do you want to just increase the healing numbers and make it more Rivalsly? Is it good that tanks are immortal in Rivals and do nothing? Is that good? Like, is standing in the front line, just spamming your abilities into the enemy tank, hitting each other with a fucking pool noodle, just like, thwack, 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 and then the enemy tank's like, thwack, thwack, and you're both just standing there like, yeah, we should probably do something else. Is that good? Like, is that like tanking to you? Is that fun? If you don't have the ability to die, you cannot have the ability to do something interesting, right? If you have an immortal tank that can do something interesting, they're oppressive as fuck. So what we have in Rivals, we have tanks that literally do nothing and AFK. That's what we have. Wait for ults. Spam ults.
This is just an Overwatch 1 versus 2 thing.
If you die faster for sure, but if you play smarter, it's not about the same. Yeah, I mean, like, do you want to add an extra 100 health onto every single tank? Do you think that would actually make this mode better, or do you think that would make this mode worse? I mean, the tanks are already controlling quite a lot of space. You want to say in 5v5 you don't have to? Sure, in 5v5 you don't have to. The tanks don't vanish, but realistically, they still control the same amount of space or more as 2 tanks in 6v6 on these health pools. So it's like, pick your poison. I don't think this goes in any way.
Can deny damage almost infinitely. So if you want to play defensive, you can. Queen has almost no defense and is like a more viable, flexible Roadhog. Maga is a problem child for Overwatch, functions a bit better in 6v6, but ignore him for a moment. Doomfist in Overwatch 2 certainly gives way more agency in the tank role than we thought was possible. Like, looking back to this, yes, Wrecking Ball is obnoxious with his hyper dive, but Doomfist, his freedom of movement is omnidirectional. All is kind of limited on where he can
I love it when characters have no weaknesses and can do anything they want. Yaha!
Go, and putting a percentage-based block on a dive character and burst damage with Doomfist, like, that's the kind of tools that, honestly, as much as I don't like Doomfist in Overwatch 2, I'd much rather have him be a tank in this mode rather than him be a damage, where he's kind of glass but easily one-hits things. So
I don't know. I feel like the ability to stand on main and then just every couple of seconds just fucking tap the enemy tank and knock them out of anything they're doing is really obnoxious. I think tank Doomfist and DPS Doomfist are problematic. I don't like either of them. I don't like the block mechanic. I don't like the empowered punch. I don't like the left click. There's a lot of things on Doomfist that are problematic. I prefer DPS Doom if he's balanced right. It's hard because we haven't really seen a version of DPS Doom that's balanced well enough, right?
Being said, I do think this version of the game with roll queue would be improved with the tanks that we added to Overwatch 2, but still, even with that being the case, I think roll queue is so limiting. Going back to the October patch, the one thing that I think I take as a big benefit is that...
So if you think it would be better with the extra tanks, why are we talking about this mode in a vacuum without the extra tanks added? Why are we just like, well, of course this game's terrible, it doesn't have the extra tanks. I mean, it would be fixed if it did. Is that an interesting take, or is that just like saying nothing, right? Like, of course, if this type of balance ever went live, we'd have the extra tanks, of course.
2CP should just come back in some form, especially with our advanced player base. If we can handle Clash...
I disagree.
Why can't we...
If we can handle Clash, we can't handle Clash, Freedo. Nobody can handle Clash. Nobody wants to play that shit.
Handle 2CP. Clash is also not that competitive, but I find both of the maps for either of these...
The problem with 2CP is too competitive. I mean, what do you mean by competitive anyway? Like, what do you mean by competitive? How measured and your approach to things have to be? Is that what you mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that's more competitive. It doesn't really mean anything to say it's more competitive. Can a map be competitive? I mean, yeah, I mean, if there's insta-kill mechanics everywhere, I guess it's not competitive that are part of the map. But realistically, the competitiveness is made by the player base more than anything else.
Uncompetitive, unbalanced modes rather fun. And since they've added so many freaking game modes, I don't see how it's going to be a problem to have yet another. All in all, I'd say with the addition of hero bans finally in Overwatch 2, I think it improved.
Yeah, the classic, with the addition of game modes, I don't see a problem with another. Oh, great take. Yeah, the game's already drunk like this much poison, splitting it player base like 4 different ways between like arcade, quick play, competitive, and 6v6 competitive and stadium. So that's 5 in total. What if we just add another? What's the issue, right? It's not like queue times are getting worse and worse in every single mode because our player base is split so much, right? Just keep drinking the poison. It hasn't killed you yet, right?
Proves either the open queue 6v6 or especially the 5v5 format, which as far as role queue goes, I think is objectively better than 6v6 role queue. And going back to the October 2020 patch, I realized how much of my hatred for the MOBA team comp builder-a-thon that was Overwatch 1 was due to that power creep era of the game that wasn't actually fixed by October 2020. I had just gotten used to it enough by that time to...
And it's good that they did, like, it's good that they started, right? It's a shame they didn't continue. It's a shame that they reverted it. So his conclusion is this very clearly is the best version of 6v6 Overwatch from back then, and it could be made better very easily.
To understand it's just the nature of the game, and now that we don't have to play the game anymore, I don't want to go back to that. I'm curious where they're taking the 6v6 tests moving forward. They kind of haven't talked about it. Everyone I think is assuming that they're just done with 6v6 open being back, but this classic patch is in a continuation of their big 6v6 tests, mind you. Supposedly, it was still in the cards for them to revert back to 6v6, and I want to definitively say that I do not want 6v6 role queue. Not to mention, we don't really know what the queue times will do for this mode because they are putting challenges and cosmetic rewards. People do get in to play it, so the queue times are minimal for all 3 roles. However,
I mean, there's only 8 tanks in the game. The queue times are going to be bad for tank. That's just how it is.
Also on the quick play standard that they've really improved the queue times in Overwatch 2 in general by making matchmaking a lot wider, I think, especially for
they made the game shitter. That's basically it. Like, you have a very simple 1-to-1 ratio of how good the games are versus how long the queues are.
So I'm unsure what a ranked version of this would look like when it comes to queue times to begin with. That it makes me even more afraid, but the gameplay alone, I think, is just not the way we should go. Either it should be more open and you let hero bans sort it out in 6v6 open, or more tightly balanced and admittedly simplistic, but importantly reliable in 5v5 role queue, which especially with the addition of hero bans now, you actually do get to have...
So why is 5v5 role queue good?
Fun games with good matchups where the enemy can't just easily pick the strongest matchup against you, with the slight downside that certain heroes are definitely disproportionately hated and targeted by the player base, but we knew that that was a small price to pay. Guys, let me know what you think about the state of the game right now, especially in comparison to the fabled October 2020 patch. Those nostalgia goggles are looking like drunk goggles to me. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like.
Can we just list like the problems he actually has with this mode, right? So his problems are counter swapping, which I think is absolute bollocks. Stuns, which I think realistically, I think we all agree that stuns should be toned down a little bit. Especially Sombra and Doomfist definitely need toning down. I don't think Doomfist I think Doomfist is probably in his best state right here, better than Tank Doomfist, but realistically, they're both pretty problematic. What other actual takes do we have here? Heroes, there's not enough heroes in the game. We should probably add them in with this balance. Bap and Brig, I genuinely, like, he has no points. MOBA team comp builder. The classic, the game's a MOBA team comp builder and I want it to be open queue so I can MOBA team comp builder better. It's such a weird take to me that seems to disagree with itself, but whatever. I just don't think he has any points. Absolute insanity, man. Absolute insanity. Oh yeah, Widow is good. He's talked about wanting hero bans or drafts for ages. Pretty sure he just hates Overwatch. I don't think so. Like, he's obviously here for a reason. Biggest issue he's got diff. Let's go comments. 60's open queue with hero bans are the most fun I've ever had in Overwatch 2, and it's not even close. Okay. There are a lot of things I don't like about current Overwatch, but going back to this mode make me appreciate how good the game is right now. You can tell this patch brought back trauma. Yeah, true. The game has shaped the player base just as much as the other way around. Early Overwatch offered a lot of alternative ways to play the game and win other than shooting enemies, which attract a lot of players from other genres who don't normally play FPS games. However, most of those players got pushed out the Overwatch player base after the devs started gutting and removing most of their accessibility-focused game mechanics. Yeah, I think I agree entirely with that. Oh, it's Abby. To be fair, the patch isn't even a proper remake of October 2020. There's so much wrong with it, quality of life-wise. It's insane. Genji camera lock in dash. Oh, Fluty's talking to you. Lucio no wall ride boost. Brig is very clunky with animations. A lot of people are noticing it. It's just an emulation of the patch rather than an actual revisit to 1-to-1. Doom had this awkward lock in place when he uppercuts. It's so stupid. Yeah. To be honest, no one's saying that the October 2020 is better than current Overwatch. I am, if you just add the heroes in. I'd be saying that. Yeah, I'd be saying that. You make it sound like that's the argument, but it's not. It's the best version of Overwatch 1, which is true. You're comparing an almost 5-year-old patch to a game that had been continuously updated in 2022. Not fair, of course. All of the things we got from Overwatch 2 add up. It'd be crazy if they didn't. Imagine a game not getting better despite getting continuous updates for 3 years. What people are arguing is that Overwatch 2 could have been even better had it not gone to 5v5 and continued on the October 2020 patch. Who says we... Yeah, 100%. Entirely true. Yeah, why would we not get the support passive? I'd say there's a good chance we've gotten it in 6v6 as well. This is something we cannot objectively confirm nor deny. Truth is, Overwatch 2 was a serious step back from Overwatch 1. So many features were removed, so many promises were broken. Where were those promised weapon inspects? I don't really care. I don't really want weapon inspects. They don't really add value to me. And the mobile game level scummy monetization put a serious sour taste in people's mouths. Of course, I'm the first to agree that current day Overwatch 2 is leagues better than Overwatch 1 ever was. But again, it wouldn't be insane if it wasn't given the time and effort that has gone into the game since 2022. Just saying that you're comparing two completely different things, which most importantly not the point most people are trying to make when discussing the patch. That's very even-handed. Personally, to me, I'd say that this patch is significantly better if you just add the heroes in. I think there are significant downgrades to a load of different heroes in the live version than in this version. I think that it's a mixed bag. And the fact that it's a mixed bag after 5 years of development is just sad, right? Right, it's just sad. I just like it now. There you go. You can have an update. Mode is great, feels great to play. Fair, tanks die, which confirms what I felt about Overwatch 2 6v6 tanks. They're still too strong, but as you play well, the skill expression is immense. It's such a breath of fresh air. Yeah, 100%. So 10 times better than 5v5. Anything better than 5v5. Played Overwatch 1 since Season 4 and I wanted to give the 6v6ers the benefit of the doubt. Took me 2 games to remember the complete BS that happened in these lobbies. It's unreal how much people have forgotten the headaches of not having a decent team comp. Even if the patch is labelled as peak Overwatch, it wasn't like that for the rest of us. A lot of you may prefer this version of the game or even 6v6 open queue. Love that for you, oh my god. But I do not want to be gaslit again. I'm not going to be gaslit again over what the majority of the community's experience was for the majority of Overwatch 1 from 2020 to 2022. I just think that you have Roadhog PTSD from Priority Pass. That's what I feel like you have. Like, the game is in its best state, sans Roadhog. Like, just fix the Roadhog stuff. It's not that hard. You see the dev blog with the ban statistics? Nope, I have not. You want to link it? The way you play him is art. Let's get a downvote. Really good takes here. Downvote. Boss man, I can't think of a single reason that the healing passive wouldn't have been implemented if we didn't go to 5v5. Insanity. I see you're still coping about Overwatch 1 being much more fun and better than Overwatch 2.
I like how the selection for Brawl just bugs. And he's just like, no, it's not the skin. It's like when he finishes.
Oh, at the end of the animation. Okay. I was clicking on him before. He's like,
I don't know. You're still white for me, buddy.
Reinhardt Orisa, double shield, Kappa Kappa.
Double shield on attack on King.
I need to re-remember all my tech, like shooting a shield in the air to get 2, right? Oh man, I saved my cooldown for 2 seconds there.
Now imagine what it would be like. Don't worry, guys. I have. Oh, no. I will make sure he cannot play the video game on Reinhardt.
I forgot how slow the fusion drive slow was. Oh, well, you're fucking dead.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that punch and I'm like, yeah, well, that do be what it is. Oh, we got the Doom.
I got the Widow.
Right. Oh, nice. How did that not pull? Oh yeah, you said it was broken 70% of the time, right? I guess that's one of the 70%.
Okay, what is far away?
I'm using the tech. Whoa!
I would like some healing, please.
Please.
Hi.
Wait, your hair? I don't like your hair.
Nice stun. Oh, thank God. Doom. 1 HP. He dies. Yeah.
Damn.
Lovely stuff.
My Bomatana has died to a Doomfist. I'm supporting this guy.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I'm minding my own business. And
Hit his sleeve.
I miss shield
I
juggling. It
don't
was
have
fun.
it. I used it to save Rel.
I wouldn't say shield juggling was
What?
fun. I'd say it was like
What?
one of the only fun things on the hero.
I had to sleep someone to save them from the Ryan kid. I didn't have the sleeve. That's not my fault.
But please stop making really this.
I'm not good at my trajectories anymore.
Guys, I don't like my odds of living.
Oh.
He's in the sky.
Ow.
Oh, what was that shit?
Come back, Doomfist. Time to die.
Oh, we had a lever.
This is peak Orisa gameplay right here.
I have 200% sleep accuracy, by the way. This is why I'm a better support than Bob.
They lost a player and got replaced.
See if they can handle it.
Cancel shield animation with Bongo. You've got to be efficient.
What the fuck?
Nice help.
It's not that. I heard him
He's
somewhere.
just jealous. He's just jealous. I have 200% sleep, alright?
Cease. What the fuck is this shit?
I'm probably dead. Uh oh.
Man, I missed Super Blade. That shit was whack as fuck.
Oh, they got Zem.
Mora just phased at the back.
Bro,
Hey.
hit his sleeve. Fucking hell.
I have 160% sleep accuracy. Thank you very much.
Piss off, Doomfist.
It went down. You don't have 200 anymore. You're actually a box.
Yeah.
Man, that
It's at 132% now.
the Hulk just straight up does not work the good majority of the time, doesn't it?
I knew I shouldn't have gone for that sleep dart. I tanked my sleep dart accuracy.
Narrowly dodged that hook.
You pulled it.
Oh, I died through that! I guess Discord goes on you and you
I have to
instantly
reload.
vanish.
Oh, good luck.
I guess we just go Ryan Zarya and just actually have fun.
Okay, I have the button. Can you get your button, please?
Having fun.
It's almost as if like there was so many things in the game that were fun, and then they proceeded to just purposely not double down on any of them.
Hogging left one.
Their diva is literally what did you think? There you go. Can you invest in a bigger window bomb? Why are you shooting out on us?
Yeah.
Come on, make it more wide.
Widow top.
Far behind.
Sorry.
Bob, I would, thank you. I appreciate you.
Then,
Nice. This is the car. Get one last fight, then gonna blade it.
No, I'm sorry. This guy swaps.
What's
the
he
window and
doing?
grapples out.
No
guy
way,
literally
you
just-
died to that Bob. No way.
I don't want
I was
this guy.
walking.
I don't want. He literally just swaps Widow, grapples out of spawn, and one-shots me immediately.
I deflected the entire Widow projectile, sadly I didn't deflect this one.
Bob jumping into the entire enemy team.
Well, that's...
I'm thinking of the button.
Oh. Sorry guys, I got assassinated by Doomfist.
Oh. I guess we're just farming charge. Farming charge.
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready to press Q, so what about you?
I'm not ready. I will get stun locked the moment I play.
He was up top.
I'm passive. What should do action?
Yeah, I play in game.
It's still 100. I can't fucking see you.
I've been played, but I'll take it.
Widow, top left.
Diva mech.
Alright, Bob, my sleep accuracy is at 100.
Ooh, I got him. Oh, nice. Push, 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 push.
What? Who did my nade hit?
No, help! Oh, I'm dying to that!
I blame
there's
that.
a Widow up top I have to hide from?
I blamed both of my supports at the same time.
What the fuck?
Well, that's an easy boy charge, I guess. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Oh, goodbye.
Doomfist behind again.
They just got sides. The moment I got sides, I ran out.
Ow! I love getting 125 slam by the Doomfist who has wall hacks on me, and I get discorded as soon as he goes for the slam.
Yeah, Doomfist is really a killer of the joy of this game, isn't it?
Yep. I think except
Why?
for Doomfist, it's good.
Okay, we got two. Should be good, right? Where are we at
More
that?
of the Bubba.
And, like the dash block fucks up my.
Right, go!
It's just we wanna walk. Their hog was needed at half HP. I can't do it. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Can I get a little bit of boo-boo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Three,
should
two,
we-
have fun.
Oh, I guess that's the thing we're doing. I got the bubble on him! He still died through it. Just waited for like 3 seconds, I could have grabbed him.
There's nothing.
I tried to heal you, but I'm just going frag. I'm done with this Doomfist guy. This is annoying.
Someone.
Swing, 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 swing.
Why is this guy just?
Blasted, you could have saved me!
Well, you didn't tell me you didn't have a bubble. So.
It was 1 second cooldown. Yeah, I looked at the bubble cooldown, and if I hadn't looked at the bubble cooldown and just walked to the right place, I could have just walked away from it.
You know, I really like this like gameplay where like the Widowmaker is like at the back of the map and like I think it's awesome.
It's really immersive and interesting. Like, by the time we manage.
Swing, swing, swing.
Alright guys, I'm clicking the rally button. Let's walk.
It would be my quickest use.
Oh, you got bubble flute. Good luck. Okay. Hog on right side. Rest in peace, knockback reduction passive.
Oh my god, I got one.
Moira on point.
Bob, you forgot to name me.
Oh, nice shooting.
Okay, can we report my Zarya and also report my Echo? Yeah.
Stressful. I do think that the headshot damage reduction is really good for tanks. Like, getting clocked in the head by a Widow like that really feels bad. Can't really predict when it's going to come in. They had so many things that were good in the game and then they just abandoned them all. I don't understand. Like, the parts of Overwatch that people enjoyed were literally just like Winston, Zarya, Reinhardt, Diva, right? Like, those are the comps that people actually enjoyed. And they were like, well, we're going to make everything like it's not that.